Are you comfortable, Mike, with the idea that that decision-making processes have gone wrong, like over the Wolves Man United game on Monday, with Simon Hooper, Richard Weston, and Michael Salisbury all being stood down?
Yeah.
Do you think that's the right way to go? Because there's another argument that says if you want to give people their head and you want to give people confidence, then when they make mistakes, you stay with them. Because if a player's playing for a team and makes a mistake, the manager bins him in the next game, it doesn't give him any confidence. No, so where are you on that argument?
I have two. I kind of get in a way.
I suppose it depends how bad the bleeding performance is.
Yeah, I mean, I've dropped rickets when I've refereed before now, and knew full well that I wouldn't be out the weekend after when I was refereeing. But what I used to always say, rightly or wrongly, whether it's because it was me, I would pick up the phone on the Monday and say, look, I know the fixture at 4 o'clock, and I know I'm not going to ref, but do me a favour, put me out this weekend, and just don't put me out the weekend after.
Yeah.
And I'll understand why I'm not out the weekend after, because of what happens just this weekend just gone.
Right.
Majority of the time it worked and it was fine and it wouldn't bother me whatsoever. I think I do understand that there's a
blame culture.
Yeah, and I think that I was more disappointed on Monday, and I get the process and I get that it is the wrong decision. Everybody knows it's the wrong decision.
You think it's the wrong decision?
Yeah.
How do you think a decision like that manifests itself? I mean, you've got guys in VAR, you've got guys on the pitch.
I just don't know. My only thought process is, and this isn't a cop-out to try and back Simon, because I think Simon knows it's an error now we've seen it.
Yeah.
24 hours before, we had Tottenham Brentford, keepers come out, Brentford guys dinged over the keeper's gone to make the save, and he's just took the player out low down to his feet. And I think they've come out to said it's just an inevitable coming together between a goalkeeper and attacker. And I get that, and it's not a penalty kick. If the keeper comes out and just goes for the ball, misses it, and he takes the guy out down by his ankle, it's inevitable. I get that one. If he takes him out neck eye or waist eye, then that's completely different, and that's a different decision to make on the pitch. Probably a penalty kick and maybe something else. Where they've gone down that route of the keeper's fully committed, he's missed the ball, it's inevitable coming together, and that's what's happened. But when you see it back, it's just... I would expect a decision like that, if you're focused for the full duration of the game as a referee, I'd be devastated not to see that decision, because in isolation that is an easy decision to make, in my opinion, because the keeper's come out, he's flapped at it, he's nowhere near the ball, and again, if he comes out and he misses the ball,
it's an easy on-field decision, isn't it? Let alone VAR.
100%. Yeah. If a keeper comes out and misses the ball by like an inch with his finger, I get that. But when you see
cleaned him out.
But even when you see the footage back from a VR point of view, he's flapped at the ball and missed the ball, and then he's put two hands together to take the attacker out, if you know where I'm coming from. I think it's an easy decision for a referee to make on a pitch, but it's an even easier decision to make as a VAR, because you have all the information in front of you. Yes, I get it's 90 plus whatever minute it is, but that should make no difference. Yes, it's a bad call by the VAR, and they make some bad calls, but they also make some bloody good calls. And again, I'll use Michael again. Michael was involved.
But they should make... I mean, at the bottom line is you should make bloody good calls,
They should do, because the information is available. And obviously you've got the situation on Monday with Michael, and you go back to the programme Howard did on Sky 2 months ago, where there's a process with the Leicester and the Arsenal game where it's impossible to see the attacker linking arms with the goalkeeper and putting the goalkeeper down. The only I can see is from behind the goal, and Michael was the VR in that game. So he's made one great call that game, and he's made a wrong call on Friday. It's cost Wolves a point, and it's not something that Michael will be happy about when he sees back and sees the process. Yeah. And he'll want to know, Michael. He's new on the list as a Premier League referee, 2 years, I think. He's a good VAR. He's a dedicated VAR within UEFA, so he's quite highly thought of with that. I would think it was just a one-off, and I think that sometimes in refereeing, and same most sports, that you'll see a decision like that, and you know full well you're glad it's happened on match day 1 rather than match day 25, because you know full well if that happens again in match day 2, you know full well you know what the decision's going to be.
What do you think of Howard? I mean, I'm an admirer of Howard's, and I think that he's going to shake things up, and I think he's going to have the courage of his convictions to make some changes. And we'll talk briefly about the new directives in a moment. But when he did that analysis, I think it was on one of the Monday Night Footballs. Yeah. I think there's an element that's the way forward. I think that there should be an evaluative perspective to, I suppose if we're getting into the territory of hearing two-way transactions inside stadiums, it almost becomes moot because you'll become privy to it. But as a stepping stone, everything has to go in increments, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think you will have it. I think I wouldn't be surprised if Howard's does it at least 2 or 3, 4 more times this season. Yeah. I think the way it come across was good. I think the amount of people that viewed what had come across, it was an eye for some supporters, because some supporters, again, as much as you can explain it in the media and you know, people go on Sky and radios and try and get your point of view across, but until you actually sit a supporter down and go through the actual process of why you've made the decision, that programme Howard did, I bet you some supporters thought, crikey, I didn't know that, or I'm not too sure what's going on here. And even like pundits in Sky now on a Saturday afternoon, where they've got the monitor in front of them.
And they get a different perspective.
You can now understand why the process sometimes does take a long time. I think we used to be I think guys used to worry sometimes when they're in the VRC to try and get the decision quicker, because you want the game to carry on quicker. But I think if a decision takes or a call takes 2 minutes in the VAR chair, and the spectators in the stadium aren't happy, I'm sure if that decision takes 2 minutes and it's the correct decision, you'd rather that than rush it in 30 seconds and get the wrong decision.
No,
get
right.
the wrong camera angle, the wrong
footage. But there is
footage.
a finite amount of time.
Yeah.
As we all know, that there is an element of, you know, we need to get to these decisions quickly. And if you've got trained professionals in there, it's like driving at high speed if you're a police officer. Some people can drive on an advanced driver's license, some people can't. And you should be able to distill information as quickly as you possibly can in order to take away that resistance factor, which is, what's going on?
Yeah,
you know, clearly they don't know what they're looking at. Clearly they're not sure themselves.
And I think the more they do the VAR, and you've got to understand as well, Simon, that they're all there as a referee, and they do some VAR and they do some for the officials. So a VAR might only do 15 VARs a season.
Yeah.
And referee 20 weekends of the season. Michael Oliver might do 7 VARs a season. Yes, it's not ideal. And is there a way moving forward of getting dedicated VARs? Yes, it could be. I was one. Lee Mason was one.
But I think it's logical, don't you? I mean, I think it has to be that. I mean, all of a sudden, if you're in VAR one week, fourth official the next week, in the middle of the following week, aren't you in danger of becoming a jack of all rather than a master of one?
Yes and no, but I found it harder being a dedicated VAR than doing all 3 jobs, because I could referee on a Saturday at, say, Tottenham, Sunday stay in London overnight and be VAR the following day, and I've got a feel for the game. Even as fourth official, I've got a feel for the game, and I won't be ashamed to say this. When I was dedicated VAR, I lost the feel of what was and what wasn't a tackle, and as much as it's well, how can you, because you refereed for 22 years in the Premier League? Because when you're involved in it and you see tackles every week as fourth official and as a referee, you're involved in the game itself. To then be like blocked off and only hear the guy speaking in the comms and not getting a feel for...
You lose your feel for it, you lose your touch, so that must lead you into the conclusion, or does it lead you into the conclusion? Because this is an argument that's often advanced, isn't it, about ex-pros being involved in, say, in recent times in the VAR room. You for that?
I think guys have been in there and have realised, obviously you've seen Jamie and Gary going in doing it, and Match of the Day guys have done it just to see how hard the VR hub is. I think there wouldn't be a harm if a ex-pro, as I said before, would, if he packed in for a bad injury, wanted to be a VAR, have a feel for the game. But it's so hard to get a feel for the game when you're just watching on the television.
Because I made this observation about you. I was unhappy with a game that you did a while ago with Lee Mason, and I think I was quite robust in my language towards you. But I talked about, in the end of the day, when it comes down to it, VAR is all about how it's implemented. Refereeing is all about decision-making process. You either can do the job or you can't do the job. It's not more complicated than that, isn't it?
100%. And I said last week that they've got this massive new hub for the VAR, which was obviously getting done when I was still there. At the start of it was, and then it's all right having the facility, but if you haven't got the people to do the job in the facility, what's the point of having the facility in the first place?
Yeah.
So, it will get better, and I think in the end, they will train people to be dedicated VARs. I think they will.
I think they have to.
I mean, obviously, I tried it when Lee and me and Lee both tried it. Lee was done it 18 months. I did it for 6 months. Things happened with Lee, which is fine, which was pretty open. And for me, I made a few mistakes as VR. I missed the stupid hair pull at bloody Chelsea Tottenham, which was pathetic from my point of view. And it's one of them where, if I had my time again, what would I do? I'd send Ange to the screen. I think that, and the only reason I never sent to the screen, I've said this before, is that he's cautioned both managers. He's had a hell of a game. It's been such a tough game end to end. And I said to Andy afterwards, I just didn't want to send you to the screen after what's gone on in the game. And Andy said it doesn't matter what goes on in the game, and it's easy now. And again, I didn't want to send him up because he's a mate as well as a referee, and I think I didn't want to send him up because he didn't want any more because what he already had. And Andy's big and bold enough and ugly enough to know full well that if he's going to the screen, he's going to the screen for a reason. And I think that, again, lucky enough for me, it happened. I think the second or third match round. never happened again. If someone pulls her hair now, it's dead easy. It's just a brainwave by me, just a really bad, really bad call by me, and it kind of affected me as VAR going forward. Probably missed a few games because I think I said before about if your referee gets out of the limelight, that was a major error. And I think from my point of view, I was so disappointed because I was kind of told at the start of the season I'm being dedicated to VAR. If there's live games on a Sunday at 4:30, because I'm dedicated to be VAR, that's the kind of games we'll be involved in, which was great. That was a 4:30 game. I've missed a hair pull in like 90+3, and sod's law. You know what? You miss it and straight away goes for the corner, and you go and equalise. If they don't equalise, if they end up winning 2-1,
it goes away.
No one's bothered about the hair pull. Yes, I'll get a bit of a bollocking because I've missed a hair pull and my process was bad and I should have sent him to the screen. But if they don't score from it, it's not a big an issue. But I knew full well then I'd be stood down the week after. I asked to take a bit of time off because it just wasn't for me. I made a mistake at Wolves and Arsenal, but I probably should have let Stewart go to the screen for a penalty kick. And it's one of them things, Simon, that as much as I want to stay involved with the guys in the Premier League and try and do the best for them, that I probably knew October, November, VR just wasn't.
Was it your choice?
It's 50-50, and I'm not going to lie. They didn't think
you both came to the same conclusion.
Yeah, they didn't think I'd be suited with it, which is fine because I got to like January, February, I wasn't getting any games. I said, why am I getting any games? Well, your process isn't as good, and I get the processes now, and the process has got to be better. So, for instance, incident happens, my wording wouldn't be right, and it wasn't. I used to always talk while the games were going on, because that's something that guys are sure. How's he missed that? That's the kind of thing I used to be saying. Whereas now it's more like speak when you're supposed to speak. Speak not for speak for speaking's sake. Speak when it's necessary. So if a tackle goes in, you switch on, ready to go. Right. Not like, gosh, what they've paid so much money for him. How's he missed that from open goal? How's he worse? That kind of stuff.
I get it.
Such a bad pattern.
Yeah.
And I get that. It wasn't for me. I had to stop talking. I couldn't stop talking. Tried it, couldn't do it. Didn't get games, so the process wasn't well. And then I kind of come to the conclusion, well, what do you want me to do? So they gave me a game, Leicester-Tottenham. Game went fine. There was no issues in the game whatsoever. It was a weekend where we had a few issues with Tottenham, Arsenal and Brentford and Crystal Palace, and somebody where the wrong lines or wrong players and things. And I didn't get a game the week after. I just looked and said, it's just not for me. Because I'm not getting any games. It's not all about, I'm still getting people, you're still getting paid for it. Yeah, I know I'm still getting paid for doing the job, but I want to be doing stuff. So I said, what else can I do to keep me involved in football? And then I used to get in the car on a Friday night and drive to London, dreading Saturday. Because you used to sit in the chair on a Saturday and think, you say, pardon me, for fuck's sake, open nothing. I used to be petrified sitting in the chair, thinking, come on, the guy goes down the box, so give the pen. Oh, just give the pen. Are you happy days? Just give the pen.
Right, so it took you out of the responsibility.
Yeah, because if you don't, straight you go, here we go.
Which flies in the face of your on-field experience.
Yeah, which gives, give me an angle on this. I need to look at that file. And I'm recommending on-field review for a possible penalty kick, and you send him over. Show you the images when you get there, blah, 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 blah. But I was driving down on Friday petrified, just not looking forward to a Saturday. And any job you're in, if you're looking forward to go and do the job, as much as you get down to Friday night, see the lads in the hotel, have a chat. And then he said, do you want to do some coaching? I said, I'll give it a go. And to be fair, there's like at least like 6 or 7 referees to go and have a look at. So I was going to Newport on a Tuesday night, Hartlepool on a Saturday, went to Lincoln. And even League 1 and League 2, I had a right buzz for going to watching football again and being involved and seeing people I haven't seen for years, seeing people behind the scenes at likes of Lincoln and Newport and what have you. And like getting a feel for the game. And I even speaking to guys on the way home, thinking, are you okay? I said, yeah. I said, because your voice has like got a bit of enthusiasm back for football again.